expert, Dr. Donna Kashani. Welcome back to Primetime.
Thank you.
I am so worried about her, and as a mother of 4 daughters, when the Amber Alert went out, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to find this girl.
Right.
Can you even imagine if it was your own daughter? What is happening right now to her? Because they said for a fact she wasn't, she was there she was there against her will, I should say.
Yes, she was there under duress.
Yeah.
And I think the other factor that, I mean, we're all so excited that she's back and that she's safe and she's alive. What is unknown is what her cognitive state and her mental health is going to be, because we don't know what she was told during the time that she was gone. However, the tragedy is she's also dealing with the fact that she's lost her mother and her brother. So she's got a whole nother set of issues she has to deal with other than just being safe herself.
Yeah, I mean, because she didn't even know, which we don't have all the details yet, but she didn't know that her mother and brother were killed. So they told her then, which I kind of wish they didn't tell her right away, because she was having to deal with so much already, being abducted and whatnot.
But the problem is then she's going to, who's the first person she's going to want? She's going to want her parents. She's going to want to see them. And so I think they really probably had no choice but to tell her. And it's really a matter of the support system that's in place. It sounds like she has a wonderful, loving family, a father that's very involved, grandparents that love her, aunts and uncles. So I think that she does have a good support system in place, at least from a family perspective, assuming the community is really thrilled about this as well. I mean, everybody acted together as a community with this Amber Alert. This is the first time it was used.
I'm so for it. A lot of people were annoyed, and I thought, are you kidding me? You know, every child deserves to be protected and nurtured. Every one of them.
That's the whole point of the Amber Alert.
So we do what we have to do as a society to protect them. So anyhow, back to her. She knew this man for, since she was a baby. She had a close relationship with him. He was a father's very good friend and whatnot. She saw the man get killed right in front of her. She also learned the mother was killed and her brother. Do you think by seeing this man get killed that it will have closure for her, and more so than if he was convicted in front of a jury and sent to prison? What do you think about that?
Well, the whole thing is confusing because it really affects all the issues related to trust. I trust this person, I don't trust this person. So it went from Uncle Jim, as he was called, to all of a sudden her,
creepy
captor,
Uncle Jim,
who all of a sudden is holding her against her will. And so I think she's definitely going to have some form of post-traumatic stress. You can have kind of acute post-traumatic stress disorder, which is re-experiencing the events, avoidance of things that remind you of the event, and what we call a hyperarousal state, like high blood pressure, your pulse going up, feeling sweaty. So she'll definitely going to have, I'm assuming some of those symptoms, as well as a predisposition to anxiety, possibly depression. We'll really have to see how things play out over a period of time, but that's what she's at risk for based on what she's experienced.
Yeah, you would assume she'd have major trust issues after this. So, I mean, is there hope for poor Hanna? She's young, but she's old enough to really digest what's happening, to get over this. I mean, to have peace, to have a healthy relationship at some point in her life. Because I don't want this to have a long scarring effects on her life.
Well, when you asked about what the long-term potential consequences are, and as I mentioned, one of the symptoms of PTSD is re-experiencing, because there will not be this lengthy trial, she will not need to testify and all that, that in fact does protect her from that aspect of the re-experiencing. So again, when we look at a patient, we say, what's the patient's prognosis? The prognosis is good for Hanna in the sense that she seems to have, she's a cheerleader, she had activities outside of school, she's got a family unit that cares about her and is a good support system. The community, we have a great community here in San Diego, is really always pulled together, and from what I understand, she's got a relatively good prognosis considering the fact that this was just a short period of time, albeit a very traumatic experience.
She'll need therapy though.
Absolutely.
Years of therapy, I would assume.
Absolutely.
I would hope she gets that. I hope she gets. Let's talk about this man. Now, I thought how ironic that his father was a creeper as well. He fell in love with a teenage girl and wanted to abduct her as well, but thankfully she got away. And he also put himself in a situation where he committed suicide, like he was high risk, right?
Yes, so he had inappropriate, to put it very mildly, behavior. Tried the woman that was 16 at the time that he tried to abduct. is now a grown woman, and she said that he handcuffed her boyfriend and, tried to take her away. She happened to run away by saying she had to go to the bathroom. So that's one word of advice, is tell your children, if for any reason something like this happens, look for an opportunity to get away. And interestingly enough, DiMaggio was killed on the 18th anniversary of the day his father committed suicide. So
isn't that bizarre?
Very interesting twist.
It's and their infatuation for young girls, not even young 20-something, where you see a lot older men, going for these younger girls. But she's a teenager. She's still a child. She's 16 years old. She's still a child, and he knew this girl from the time she was a baby. Knew the family. That's so twisted. Well,
and another warning sign to look for is when there is kind of inappropriate behavior. So don't ever doubt if your child comes to you and says, so-and-so's acting a little weird or creepy with me, I didn't like it. Encourage your children to go with their gut instinct. And apparently he had said in front of one of her friends that he would date her if he was her age, and act as if he was spending more and more time with her and her friends. So there was a change in his behavior. His home was foreclosed. I mean, there was a lot of other things. He just bought new camping gear, which was actually one of the signs that the individuals that saw them out and about hiking looked at. So look for changes in behavior as well.
And here's the thing, it's no secret, I'm a single mom, 4 daughters. You have family friends. Everybody has family friends. There's always an uncle. There's always something. My ex-husband has friends, and what, as parents, there's got to be even more than that I know the child can feel something, but what do we need to look for? Because you don't want to accuse somebody of being creepy or assume everybody's guilty when they're not. And there should be some trust levels, but also, how do you know you're really protecting your children? Because I'm a freaky, overprotective mother.
It's good to be a mama bear. It's always better to err on the side of that.
Yeah, but working this job does not help my daughters, because they're like, oh my gosh, Mom, reel it back in, because I'm so overprotective.
Well, I think the other thing that's important is to listen to your children. So I had a tragic person that I knew socially who said to me, they had this wonderful couple that lived next door. They were like grandparents to their children, had them over and made sweets together for years. And when their daughters were about 4 and 6, started crying every time they went over. And then the family felt bad. They were like, no, those are like your grandparents. You should go over. And come to find out years later, the father, the grandfatherly figure, was in fact molesting the 2 girls.
We hear that a lot.
Right. So listen to your children. When they say, I don't want to go somewhere, and they're crying and they're upset, try to really look deeper and see where this is coming from, rather than being dismissive.
I hear so many stories like that, and the child's afraid to tell the mom and the dad, and I don't know why. I keep that open communication with my daughters, that you are ahead of anybody else, and I'm here to protect you. And you come first, and you talk about the private parts no one's allowed to touch, and they tell me always, no matter what. And I've even told them scenarios of what happens to other kids and how the predator would threaten them so they wouldn't tell their parents. But I think knowledge is power. You don't want to freak and there's a fine line. You don't want to freak your kid out that they think everybody's guilty either,
Right, but that's, again, look, you're coming at it from your perspective. That's not necessarily what I hear. I have people tell me, I told my mom that so-and-so was doing this to me, and she just said, oh, you must be imagining things. So parents do dismiss their children, unfortunately, and this is, this is not advice to parents like you who are already great mama bears and watching out for their family units. And, we have fathers that have households that they are taking care of children. We have mothers, we have joint, whatever, it doesn't matter, mixed families. You just really have to be hyper vigilant, I think, in today's society.
I think it's very important. Be aware. Don't be so caught up in your busy life that you don't know what's going on with your kid's life. And I say that so it's in my frontal lobe to always be on the lookout here, listen to everything. I'm the mom that watches my children go to the mailbox. I won't even let them go one house away by themselves. Well, and I need some therapy later on being overprotective.
Group work. But the problem is, too, adolescence is a period of identity formation. So that's, in fact, when you want the child to become independent, and hopefully you've taught them enough kind of internalized, healthy sense of self when they're younger, so that as they get older, they're able to make those choices without putting themselves at risk and are not impulsive. And as we've talked about before, the frontal lobe is still not fully myelinated, which is where that impulsive behavior happens, until about age 22. So, you know, that's why college students still make stupid mistakes at times.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, so.
Well, I appreciate you coming back on Prime Time
pleasure.
and making sense of all this for us. And we just really pray and hope that Hannah can get back to some sort of normalcy. And I pray that there's healing in the family, you know,
Sounds
and
like
that
it.
she has a healthy, blessed life. She deserves it. She's been through a lot.
She has been. We have a great community. I think everybody's really pulled together well.
Yes, and the media's done a great job as well. Thank you, Donna. All right, we're going to take a quick break.